HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, is the language used on the Internet for structuring the content of websites. I'm going to be using Atom on Mac OS for this tutorial to demonstrate how easily you can create an HTML document. Hopefully by the end of this tutorial you will have a good understanding of how HTML structures web pages. Our hope is that this tutorial will help and encourage you to further your learning and build on the core concepts learned here. If you don't already have Atom installed, you can get it from atom.io. Start off by opening a blank document in Atom. HTML is made up of tags. These tags are how HTML defines different areas and sections of the document. The DOM, which stands for Document Object Model, is how HTML is read by the browser. The first tags needed in an HTML document are simply the opening and closing HTML tags. Most tags in HTML need opening and closing. As you can see here, the only minor difference between the opening and closing tags is that the closing tag includes a /. Everything else that we are going to put into our HTML file will go in between these tags. We will be using tabs to indent our tags. This is common practice when writing code as it makes the code more readable. Side note, browsers, compilers and machines in general are not interested in whitespace. It is merely used to make a codebase more readable for anyone working on, or who will work on our codebase in the future. Within the HTML tags we have two sections. We have the head section, so let's add opening and closing head tags. Then we have the body section, so let's also add opening and closing body tags. What we have so far is simply the basic structure of any HTML file. We will now go through some basic, but vital tags that you should know to start building websites with HTML. The head section is where the metadata goes. Metadata is data about data and contains information about the page. The body section is where the actual content of the page goes, and this is what gets displayed to our end users. In the head section we will add an opening and closing title tag. This is the text that gets displayed in a web browser's title bar. So let's write learn HTML between our title tags. We can see what this looks like after saving our document with a file extension of HTML and after opening this same file in our web browser. Notice that the content of our page is currently blank, as we have not placed anything between our opening and closing body tags, but we can see our newly added title text displayed in our browser's title bar. We will now add some content to our page. Usually the first thing you would want is a heading. HTML has some handy header tags. These header tags start from H1, which is the biggest header tag in terms of styling, and comes preset with a large font size and bold font weight. Following the H1 tag are the H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6 tags, with each one getting progressively smaller in size, and with H6 being the smallest. We will use an H1 tag for our main heading and an H2 tag for our subheading. Add some text between your H1 and H2 tags, like so. Let's save our document and go over to our browser to refresh the web page. Notice the changes reflected in our browser. Now that we have added some headings, we will move on to adding some text. This is achieved with the P tag. The P here stands for paragraph. So let's add our opening and closing P tags and place some text inside. Save our changes and refresh our browser, taking note of the now visible paragraph. Because we are using H1, H2 and P tags that come with preset styling, our web browser is able to display our content with the correct indentation and line spacing, as we would expect to see it. To add more paragraphs, just add more P tags. It really is that simple. Next we will add an image to our web page. To do this, we are going to use an image stored locally on our computer. If you don't already have an image, you can head over to pixabay.com and get a royalty-free image from there. Make sure you download your image and store it in the same directory as the HTML file that we are currently working on. This will enable us to reference it using a relative path. To add our image to our HTML file, we will make use of the HTML image tag. The image tag takes several properties within the tag itself. One of these properties is the source attribute, which will have its value set to our image path. If we stored our downloaded image in the same directory as our HTML file, then we can use the image's relative path. Otherwise we will need to use its absolute path. It is interesting to note that because we define everything about the image within the tag itself, and because the image tag does not take any child nodes, i.e., takes no content between its tags like our H1 or P tags, there is no need syntactically for a closing tag. This is why the image tag is self-closing, as can be seen above. Let's save our document, refresh our browser, and we should now see the image displayed in our browser. If we want to change the size of our image, instead of displaying it at its original size, we can add width and height attributes to our image tag as seen here. Note that px here represents the pixel unit of measurement. Now if we save our document again and refresh our browser, we can see that our image has been resized. The last tag we are going to cover in this tutorial is the HR tag, which stands for horizontal rule. The HR tag is another self-closing tag. Its sole purpose is to draw a horizontal line across the page. This can be great for visually separating content. To recap, we started with HTML tags. Inside our HTML tags we placed our head and body tags. Remember that our head tag contains information about our page, and inside this tag we placed our title tag, which is what gets displayed in our browser's title bar. Our body tag is where our web page content goes. This is the content that a user sees in the browser window when loading our web page. Inside our body tag we placed heading, subheading, paragraph, image and horizontal rule tags. We also learned that several HTML tags are self-closing, meaning that no content goes between its open and closing tags. If you would like to see how to host your website on the internet, to make it available for your friends and family to see, subscribe and stay tuned, as we will be covering how to do this in a future video. We also recommend that you keep tweaking your site and build on top of what you have currently learned. We will also cover a great source of resources to enhance your web learning experience in future videos. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions regarding this video, please comment down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Until next time, wishing you all the best, from the team at Modu8.